Today's guest is a gentleman that I met about 5 years ago. Our companies have done business, I guess, a handful of times in those 5 years, and wanted to have him on first because he showed interest, but second, I thought he'd be a great guest because he's done a full circle in his career, and it's a fascinating, interesting story, which I'm looking forward to sharing, and actually him sharing as well. Mick Bigwood Jr., welcome to the show.
Nick, how you doing?
And good to see you.
Good to see you too.
And listen to you for all the people that are listening via audio.
Yes, sir.
What I found interesting, which I just learned preparing to have this conversation, was you're a fellow college baseball guy like myself. I did not know that.
I am. So played 4 years. It's now Delaware Valley University. Played 4 years there, and had a great time starting pitcher, and met lifetime friends that I still talk to, and the alumni games and stuff like that pop up. So it's some good relationships, and definitely wouldn't change any of it. So
yeah, no, it was a great experience for myself too. One thing that I'm super jealous about, seeing that you played in Prague during your summer graduation.
I did.
After graduation.
Yeah.
How was
So
that experience?
after junior year, got invited to go over for like 3 weeks, and we played different teams over there. Some of there was a couple national teams, but guys from guys and girls. There was a softball team that went as well, but from all over the country got invited to go, and I still see some of them on social media. A buddy of mine from Colorado that I met out there was in my wedding, so built relationships that way. My best friend now from college, from Del Val, he went with me both years, so got to play with the college teammate over there. We met friends and traveled around a little bit. So it was Czech Republic after junior year, and then we went to Holland after senior year. First, asked to go back, and said, yeah, absolutely, we'll do it again.
Very cool. And it was 2-3 week stints?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we went, traveled around, played in, they had a tournament that they set up, experienced some of the local, historical nature of Europe. Obviously, it's all over the place, but, got to see some of the kids. The kids would come to the games. It was, as a college baseball player, you go over there, and the kids were, they looked at us as heroes. We're essentially, I guess you don't want to say nobody, but they wanted our autograph. They wanted, hey, can I have a batting glove? Can I have a, different things. So it was special.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, man. It had been an awesome experience. So after Del Val, you got a BS in sports management, and then it looks like you went to Canisius College to get a master's.
I did. I went back. So graduated with a business degree, sports management from Del Val. And, I guess going to college, first one in my family to go to college, didn't know a whole lot, applied to 3 different schools, didn't have a whole lot of help from, my family helped to get in, but not a whole lot of help, I guess, from high school coaches. And they were great, and guidance counselors, they were great, but it was a big push for college, obviously. And that's what a lot of this is about. Wanted to get away from home, wanted to have the opportunity to possibly play baseball. So went to Del Val, graduated, 5 with sports management degree. Didn't know exactly what I wanted to get into, so bounced around a little bit. Indoor facilities, they're still big, but obviously with COVID, that's hit hard a little bit now. So I went through different things in some of the professional sports, which was hard to get into. I landed in college athletics a little bit, and that was kind of the path I thought I wanted to take and stay in college athletics. So I went back and got my master's from Canisius online it took me a couple years. And, I got that thinking, hey, this might propel me a little bit, or, help me get my foot in the door somewhere, which not that it didn't, but, the mindset was, maybe I need a little bit more to put on my resume to show that, hey, just let me in. Let me see what we can do here.
Now, the various indoor facilities you were business managers, director, general manager. There's a slew of areas, of different facilities that you were part of. Without getting into the specifics there, where did you want to be? Where did you see yourself going? Obviously, you said you wanted to be in college, athletics, but did you have an ideal like job or position that you were trying to get to?
Nothing. I mean, it was nothing specific. I mean, I have friends that graduated with sports management degrees, sports administration degrees, and do very well. They're in different parts of the country, run booster clubs. Some they're general managers for large facilities, places like the Wells Fargo Center. So that's, I guess, obviously the draw when you hear that as a high school kid. Hey, you can get into professional sports and you can do this, and okay, yeah, let's do it. So I think the initial was just, let's go in as a get a major and get the core academics out of the way, and graduated with the degree. But there was really no direction. I guess it was really of where can I get in. I applied for everything from unpaid interns, even after I graduated, unpaid internships, paid internships. There's a lot of colleges in Philly, local area, so there's a lot locally to try and get into. It just wouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you were also with the South Jersey Warriors. You were the coach for that for 4 years. How was that experience?
Yeah. So down your way, Swedesboro.
Mm-hmm.
I just took my son down there. He played for them in the fall. So they're one of the youth travel programs that have been around a long time. When I started working with them before I had kids, they had 2 or 3 teams. When I left, there was 13 or 14 teams. So I still talk to those guys. I don't know exactly how many teams they have now, but the youth athletics is, that was big too. So we had a little facility for a little while that I ran there, the sports zone, and the Warriors practiced out of there. So, I seeing now some of those kids were my son's age, 6, 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, and now they're high school seniors. They're graduated from college. So just from that standpoint, watching a lot of those kids that I coached grow and take their paths in life is rewarding.
Mm-hmm. And that brings me to where you are today. You expressed that your family, were blue collar workers, and you took a different path. And now you have since in 2014 has taken over a family business. We're actually created a new entity of the business. And I'd like to have you talk a little bit about, that process and how it got to that point when you decided that was going to be your path.
So I think it was more of, not that I looked at the trades as, a bad thing. It was the work ethic was there. The hard work was there. It wasn't like I wanted to do that. I summers would work with, with my family on different projects. If I was home from college, I was working, one to make money, take back to school. Obviously, I had books to pay for and other things. So that was always there. It was more of the consistency, watching the struggle, and by no means did my family, live in poverty, but it wasn't easy, watching my dad run to the mailbox every day, waiting on checks, and just that consistency was like, hey, how, is this what I want to do from that standpoint? How do I, get something to the next level? And I want to raise a family. I want to, how do I pay my mortgage? There was times where stuff like that was hard for my family, having to pay bills. And I'm like, how do I do this? So when it came back to it, when it circled back after my degrees, and, it kind of fell back into my lap, I talked to my wife and said, what do we do here? If I'm going to do it, I'm going to take it to the next level. I'm going to go after it and see what happens. So it was more of, me not necessarily choosing that path. I think more so chose me.
And the company is called Bigwood's Custom Painting, and Mick is the owner operator of the company. residential and custom and commercial custom painting with some customers chains like Yard House, Starbucks, Maggiano's, Brick House, Apple stores, to name a few. When you started in 2014, how long did it take you to get to a point where you started really settling in and feeling comfortable with what you were doing?
So the last couple of years have been good.
Mhm.
The residential we still do, and the residential is what got us through COVID for a couple of months. The commercial end, I mean, as you know, some of it shut down for a little while until that started
Mhm.
picking back up again. But we really, it took me, you know, uh, from 14, I guess, really till 17, a good 3 years to, get in with a lot of the contacts I have now. It took a lot of networking and just emails and phone calls and just trying to get on bid lists and building
Yep.
relationships. So the last 2 years have been good, but it took a good 3 or 4 years to get to that
Mhm.
point. And it'll be in May. It'll be 7 years that we're technically in business. Uh, you know, as a new entity.
Yeah. No, I can relate to those timelines, indeed, for sure. And just to name a little bit about what Mick's company does, services. They do power washing, finish sheetrock, which they hang and they tape and finish it, wallpaper removal, wall covering install, woodwork staining, epoxy floors, and even carpentry repairs. What is the percentage of residential work to commercial work?
Not a lot. So
Hmm.
it's only 5% probably residential. I'm
Okay.
95% commercial.
Yeah.
Where I can grow, especially this year, and that's one of the goals. Not that we don't do the residential. A lot of it, the commercial jobs, you can't control the schedule as much, and it's tough to put that residential in those commercial schedules.
Hmm.
So it's a small percentage. We still do it, but that's definitely an area where we can grow, and we're going to grow.
Hmm.
Especially this coming year. But yeah, the commercial is something that I went after hard. Um, that was one of the changes that I made on my end, and it's been good to us.
And as far as company size, volume of work, employees, whatever you like to share, just to give people perspective on what you have built in the last 6 years.
So we have, I mean, we've grown, quite a bit from small family-owned business, which is still, family-owned. I have 8 employees under me. I'm getting ready to bring on a project manager starting February 1st to kind of handle some of the residential stuff and grow the business in different areas.
Hmm.
Take a lot off my plate, take a lot off my foreman's plate, Conrad, who you know.
Hmm.
So, we're looking to make, more changes in 2021. But just this year alone, 2020 was our best year, and we grew, 55-60% just from the year before this
Hmm.
past year.
Awesome.
Uh, so every year we've grown, and uh, we keep going up, which is obviously what everybody wants to do. And it goes back to having a good team and working hard and just setting goals and keep moving the goalpost and trying to reach them.
Yeah, and you certainly will. I mean, making my experience with you and your team, when I first met you, my project manager was running the job, and I came out just to check on it, and had no idea the owner of the company was right there with his guys, painting away and getting it done and doing everything we were asking of you guys. Very service oriented. It's always a pleasure working with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's it's hard for me to, from a mechanic standpoint, get out of the field, but I'm not in the field as much as I've been in the past. I have some flexibility to get out of it, but if the job has to get done, it has to get done, and if that means me,
Yeah.
throwing on the painter's whites and getting out there and painting, that's what I got to do. So,
Yep.
schedules, you get jammed up, but it takes a lot to build these relationships, and you got to do everything you can to keep them. If I don't,
Yep.
just say, hey, we can't make it. But if I can free myself up, where I got to go by myself, there's been many times where I've had to go out of state by myself, for 3 or 4 days just to, keep the job moving and keep the contractors happy, and don't ruin those relationships. And I think that's a lot of the reason why we are successful and have built those relationships, and contractors and homeowners, and they keep calling us to come back and do their work.
And in a commercial, perspective, me as a GC, the fact that you provide the small carpentry, the drywall, the patching, to get the substrate what it needs to be, because we ran into some issues, and without not needing to get another contractor, subcontractor there, you're able to handle that, which is great, and it's
Right.
a great another service to provide.
Yeah, and it's not something that I necessarily have to go after to sell. I guess necessarily making more money. We're not doing it to make more money, but like you said, to make anybody's life easier of, hey, can you throw up a little bit of trim here, or can you do this little stuff? We don't take on anything big, but helping to move the job forward and get the job done. That's what, makes everybody's life easier.
That solves a problem for us for sure. Yeah, no, it's a good one. And I really love that about your company, offering that service. Where do you think you're heading? Where do you want to be in the next 5 years? Where do you see your company?
So we've grown. We're a small business, but with 8 to 10 employees, that's a decent size.
Yes, it is.
I don't want to, I want to get bigger. Obviously, I don't want to get bigger to where I can't keep my finger on everything and let it get out of control. But a lot of that is based on finding the right people, putting the right people in place. And everybody has a hard time with hiring, and I put out another job posting again, just trying to find the right fit of somebody coming in from a laborer, a mechanic, a foreman, whatever the case may be. But if I don't have people to replace the people under me, then we can't necessarily move forward, or I can't give my current team more responsibilities if we don't have anybody to replace them. And that's, even when it comes down, to me, you want to work. Somebody had said that to me, a couple of years ago, but you want to work to replace yourself. If you work to replace yourself, then, you can grow from there, and we'll see what happens. I mean, if obviously another few employees, 2 to 5 employees, I don't want to get, too big, but if I'm around 15, and the more quality team members I have that help me, the more work I can bid, and, to where we're still doing quality work. We're not taking away from that, to where if I have 15, painters working for me, but 5 of them really aren't worth anything, I'm just sending them to have bodies on the job. That's not what we want to do. We're not hiring employees just to get more work and just to send bodies on the job. We gotta pay attention and do the work we do now.
Got it. And how about your reach, your East Coast reach? Would you consider traveling further? You talk a little bit about how far your reach is as well.
Yeah, so we've done, and by no means did I think that I'd be working in New York City. I'd be taking jobs in Boston. We've done it. We've done restaurants in Boston. We're in Times Square right now doing a yard house. So we've gone down to DC, Virginia. We've gone up to different parts of PA. So there's a good 10 states that we've done work in over the last 3 years. Connecticut. I'll go where the work is if it makes sense, and especially with a lot of the relationships I have now. If they want me to go and they ask me to go, I'm going to go. So I've bid stuff in Georgia. I've bid stuff in Arizona for contractors that we currently do work for, that have good relationships with some of these restaurant owners and general managers, and they want them to do the work. They want me to do the work, and if it makes sense for everybody, my team's willing to go. Let's do it.
No, I love that about you, and that's going to help with that attitude and mentality is going to help you to grow. I mean, there's a lot of contractors that just won't go past a certain radius. They don't want to move any further than where they're currently at. And if you don't follow your clients,
Right.
You know, every time you do that, that's opening up more potential, more opportunities, and you can't shut that door. You can't.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
I love
always
that.
afraid that if I say no, and
Mm-hmm.
I've learned to say no, but if I say, if it's something I think we can do, I'm going to do it. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm always afraid that if I don't go, who's to say that they don't find another painter or, another contractor, and, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
good ones out there,
Yep.
they use other ones. It's not, I'm not their only
Mm-hmm.
painter, but, if they start to build that relationship, then it takes work away from me.
Yep.
I've worked hard to build those relationships. It took me
Yep.
with multiple relationships I have now, it took me over a year just to get on the bid list, and I would bid for months and not even get in the door, and finally make a phone call and just say, hey, what do I got to do? Where am I at? How do I get your work? Once we're in, you're not going to want anybody else.
Yep. And maintain that relationship too. That takes work. You always have to do that, and that's what you're doing. You're saying yes, I'll travel with you. I mean, they could take it personally if you say no. And what happens when our industry eventually slows down? The fact that you weren't traveling,
Right.
that it can affect you many different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And even we do a lot of big work. We still do the small work too. So little stuff can very easily turn into big stuff. So
Yes, it can.
somebody
Yes, it
calls,
can.
and even from a homeowner standpoint, somebody calls and said, hey, I got a bathroom. Can you take this wallpaper down? Sure, we're going to go look at it. We're going to give them a price and, try and get the job and do the job. That could potentially turn into more work in their home, or, this homeowner could, work for a big company that now their office space needs to be painted.
Yep.
They're,
Exactly.
they know different people. So building those relationships, we just did work personally in your home. Hey, I got a business, where I've got, 15 rental properties or whatever the case may be, and it's happened to us. It's,
Yep.
I'm sure it's happened to you. It's happened to a lot of people.
Yep. You always have to keep that mentality, and no, that's
we would do maintenance stuff. We still do for different companies, or that's how some of my restaurant stuff started. It started with a high school friend that's a manager at an Olive Garden in Delaware, and we would do touch-ups for him. And it started as a phone call to my brother at the time, and it was, hey, we're too busy, we can't really get to it. It got back to me, and I said, no, we're not too busy, let's see how we can make this work. So we went in, we set something up where we went in once a quarter, we touched up his restaurant. But after 6 months or so, he said, hey, my restaurant's up for remodel, I'm going to give the superintendent your card. And they called, and that was 5+ years ago that we did our first Olive Garden. I never did anything like that. It was a remodel, but it started from touch-ups in his restaurant, and now has blown up. The GC likes us doing his work, and they call back, and so that little stuff, that touch-up in that restaurant, has now turned into multiple jobs and a relationship for years to come. Just from something small, you never know. And I didn't, I took it off the chin. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I finished that job. I worked a good 2 weeks by myself, working nights and putting in hours, because I was going to lose money, and if I work by myself, hey, I'm not paying my guys. I'm going to do it. Took it off the chin and said, I don't know if I want to get into this. I don't know if I want to do it. And I made friends with the carpenter on the job. He wasn't even the general contractor. He was just the carpenter. And 6 months came up, and another restaurant came up, and the GC said, hey, do you know a painter? And he said, yeah, the one that did Delaware. They were awesome. So the GC they weren't there a whole lot, didn't remember who we were. Carpenter did. I made friends with the carpenter, and the rest is history at this point.
Yeah. You probably restaining the bars and woodwork, and
we do.
Probably doing it all.
Yep. I mean, that's big. The preventative maintenance type stuff. These restaurants, obviously a lot of them are shut down now, and the capacity is limited. But that you keeping up that that presence, and hey, my restaurant's clean, and keeping up on stuff like the bar. Who wants to sit at a bar that just looks beat up. So we go in and refinish it, and
Refinish it.
even that, we've done one bar and then it turns into 50 tables we're refinishing in the restaurant.
You recently sent me a quote. Playing business is acting like you are running a business, but without actually doing business. I took to that quote. Who said it, and what does that mean to you?
So I read it. I'm as you scroll through stuff, and that may have came from maybe entrepreneur.com or one of those, but it's there's articles on there you can read, and you get you get different viewpoints, and like it clicks, like you said, it clicks for you. But just because anybody can go open a business, I can call the state of New Jersey and say, hey, I want to start this business. They give you an EIN, and then now you're an LLC or a sole proprietor or whatever the case may be. Anybody can do that, but what do you want out of that business? What are your goals? What everybody wants to, at the end of the day, you want to profit, you want to be successful. There's a lot of people that fail, unfortunately, and I think it's not just starting a business. It's going back to building those relationships and playing business, and that's part of what it said in there too. Is okay, well, hey, this is a write-off. I can go do this now, or let's go out to dinner. And a lot of people play business, but it takes work to be in business and get after it.
Execution on many levels. And that's what I think a lot of people lack when they see how hard it really is.
It's not easy by no means. I mean, you know that, and that's why a lot of people probably give up too. And there's times where I've said, hey, do I really want to do this? Do I I don't want to do anything else. Like I don't want to go back and work for anybody else. It's there's no limit to what we can do. There's no cap on money that we can make. You control your own destiny. It's if I want to make more money, then I'm going to do more work, and I'm going to build more relationships, and there's
absolutely,
there's no limit to that. Me, in the facilities I was in before, in college athletics, I may not even have a job right now with COVID. I could be scrambling like a lot of people, and there's a lot of people struggling, but fortunately that hasn't been the case for us. It hasn't been the case for my team this past year, and I'm hoping that moving forward this year and years to come, we just keep growing and keep going.
Now it's a good way to look at things. And you brought up COVID, which is one of my questions. Has it impacted you at all in the slightest? I know the residential market was always maintained, work. I know it didn't affect our custom home building.
Yeah. I mean, so from a residential standpoint, my when it came through in March, and I sent you a message early on, like, hey, what are the rumblings on some of these jobs? What are you hearing? What are, are you shutting down, or owners, and it did eventually, it kind of caught up. So I laid off my team for 2 months. So from March to May 1st, I guess, they were laid off, most of them. Me and Conrad stayed working vacant houses, exteriors. The weather was, it was getting nice. So we were doing vacant houses, exteriors, residential stuff. There was still some commercial stuff where we could get in restaurants at night and work by ourselves, and you just didn't know what was going to happen, So for those 2 months, a lot of my commercial stuff got shut down. No fault to anybody, but nobody really knew what to do. So the owners, the project managers, they pulled the plug on a lot of that stuff. And for those 2 months, it affected us, I guess, from that standpoint, and not being able to work, keep my guys going. And that was the first time I had to lay my guys off in almost 7 years, where
since you started,
before I took stuff over, we were laid off all the time. The winter months were slow. I don't want to be slow. I can't afford to be slow. So it did affect us, but 2020, like I said, it ended up being our best year. And, it picked up after May when I brought my guys back. It was nonstop the rest of the year.
Not too many people can say that 2020 was their best year. That's awesome.
Well, from a business standpoint for us, it was, and
Yeah.
we were fortunate, and
Yeah.
the family's healthy, the crew's healthy. That's the biggest thing.
Yes, it is.
Not saying that it
Yeah.
was our best year from a personal standpoint.
Sure,
a lot to struggle with, and get the
Mhm.
kids through things and school. And
Yes.
was it stressful? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure
But
is.
you just got to keep pushing.
Got to figure it out.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, man. So outside of work, obviously you're a family man. What do you like to do that you're passionate about? What are your hobbies?
So I guess and I need to work on that a lot more. But right. So you get busy with work and
Yeah.
tied up with the family and different things. So self-care for me,
Yeah.
I need to find a lot more time for it. I try and get up. By no means do I do it every day, but you want to get up early and when it's quiet and try and get stuff done and focus on some things before you get into the week and stuff like that. So coaching my son and my daughter in sports. My youngest daughter is only 15 months, so she's not into that stuff just yet, but just his watching my kids have their own friends and start to build relationships, and now their parents are our friends, and watching those kids grow is big for me. Outside of my own kids, I love being involved in the community, with different things, trying to help out when we can, different animal rescues and donations, and that's definitely stuff that we, as a company and personally, my family, that's what we want to do, and that's what we want my kids to see and grow up around. You squeeze in some golf every now and then, not as much as I would like, and
Sure.
not as good as I would like, but the golf, and I had, obviously a big baseball guy. The Phillies games we would go to a lot, Sunday afternoons with the Phillies games, and go with my son or my daughter, my family. That's obviously shut down. So, it'd be nice for that to come back at some point. Not that I'd jump into it right away, but just being around friends and, my close family, and, just trying to love life.
Yeah, man. So if someone wanted to get into construction, what would be your advice on how to do that?
There's contractors everywhere. I mean, you have to find the right one, I guess. Just because they're a contractor don't mean that they're doing it the right way. You hear nightmare stories all the time of, hey, I hired this one, he said he had insurance. So I've had high school kids, their parents or the kids in general reach out and say, hey, I'm maybe looking to get into a trade after high school. So from a personal standpoint, if somebody wants to get into it, I mean, just reach out to somebody. Hey, how did you get into this? Ask questions. That's not something that was given to me. Hey, go talk to this person. Or even though there was a painting company that was in my family, it was always go to college. It was work harder or work smarter, not harder. Well, what's that mean? I mean, I want to do both. I want to work hard. I want to work smart.
Sure.
And I think some of it has changed, but not as not enough to
certainly
push
not.
kids towards the trade. But even high school kids, college kids, even if they're graduating with a major in something, that don't mean that you can't jump into construction. I mean,
Absolutely.
you can go take a test at a one of the locals and try and get in that way. There's build a relationship somewhere. There's plenty from social media to there's so many more opportunities out there, ways to get in. It shouldn't be. It's not difficult. The work's out there.
Yes, it is.
The trades are busy, so it's something that could be very obtainable and successful and profitable, and people do well.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I don't know if you saw the article I posted on social media. There's over 500,000 construction jobs available right now. And that's mainly in the residential, mixed use,
Right. Right.
wood framing type projects, but there's certainly a lot of commercial,
Yep.
openings as
Right.
well.
Right.
That's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
that is incredible
Right.
right
Where,
now.
look at the numbers compared to some of the majors, in college that they're coming out, and I don't know what it is, 80% or whatever that you graduate. I'm a product of that. You graduate with a certain degree. You don't even work in that field anyway. You end up doing something else anyway. And then, now you're in all kinds of debt and
Yep.
trying to get out of that. And for what? What
Yep.
was the point at the end of the day when you could have done, something else?
Absolutely. And that's what this podcast is all about. And man, I really appreciate you joining me today, man. I knew it was going to be a good one. Great conversation. And just let everyone know a little bit about how they could reach you, your company, website address, social media.
Yeah. So at Bigwood's Custom Painting on Facebook, we post a lot on there. You see what we're doing. Job postings, jobs, awarded jobs and jobs, stuff we have coming up. I mean, I'm scheduling stuff in March right now. My March is almost full. So,
Mhm.
Facebook, LinkedIn, which I'm getting into a little bit more. I have a profile on there, I guess, just under Mick Bigwood. Obviously
Gotta.
can do that. We do have an Instagram. I don't know what it is,
Mhm.
but I can shoot you the link to that. So there's different platforms that we're on, but we're trying to
Mhm.
grow that end of it too. One I guess from a marketing standpoint, but just to, like you said, if there's somebody out there looking to get into a trade and shows that interest, there's ways to do it. There's you don't have to be stuck in this little pigeonhole, that you can grow and be successful. And we're trying to be an example of that.
Yeah, man. Love it. Thanks again for being here and taking the time. It was a lot of fun.
Nick, my man, thanks, buddy.